Hi, and welcome to Whenever You're Ready. Today, I'm going to be walking you through a step-by-step tutorial on how to use the Clarity Bundle. First, let's take a look at what's inside the bundle. You'll see on the left-hand side the menu where we have the instructions, setup, bank accounts, Clarity dashboard, calendar, annual totals, all the monthly tabs. The joy funds, our debt reset, our 50/30/20 dashboard, net worth tracker, and moving on to the journaling and growth, we have our monthly reflections, our mindset growth, and our affirmations log. Now, let's talk about when you get started. You would first want to come in step one and add your currency. I will add dollars because I'm in the US. So you can just replace this with whatever currency you use. Second, you would choose your option. So whether you're using a carryover method or the zero-based budget method. But the zero-based budget method assigns every dollar a role. So at the end of each month, you would want to have a balance of zero because you've assigned every dollar a role. Where the carryover method, you would be carrying over what was left over from the previous month. Next, in step three, you're going to want to add subcategories to the 5 categories that we have here. So we have bills, expenses, savings, subscriptions, and debts. So you can enter your subcategories within those. And this will carry out through the spreadsheet. So to also note, if you want to add a new category or if you have a new expense, subscription, debt, etc., you will have to come here and add that in order for it to appear in the spreadsheet. So let's go ahead and get started and go to the bank accounts tab. So here in the bank accounts tab, you'll see that you will add your current accounts. You have the option to select whether it's savings, checkings, and then if there's a starting balance, these highlighted gray areas are automatically calculated. You do not have to do anything here. And then the adjustments is if you need to make a change, whether add or subtract, and then you can add a date from the last time you checked. If the bank accounts tab is not something that you want to use, that is fine. I do just suggest that you add at least the accounts that you're using. But if you don't want to use it, it is completely up to you. Next, you have the option to add your credit cards here. And the same will be this, the same will happen throughout the spreadsheet in this gray area. This is automatically calculated as well. So you do not have to do anything within these cells. And the same as above, you can add, adjust, last check date, if there's any starting balances. And also here, you have the option to show that you transferred money from account to account. So say you use cash and you transferred it to one of your credit cards to pay it off, right? You would go ahead and add that here and it'll reflect here and above as well. Next, let's go ahead and move over to the Clarity dashboard. The dashboard settings, just as a high level, you do not have to do anything in these dashboards. These are automatically generated throughout the entire spreadsheet. This is more for your visual. So let's go ahead and jump in. And as you can see here, anything that you add, it will automatically appear in the dashboard. So starting from the budget summary and then your sinking funds, which we'll get into later, as well as the debt calculator, your net worth tracker, and the journaling and growth. So this is kind of giving you a bird's eye view of all of the spreadsheets in one view. So let's jump over to the calendar. Here in the calendar view, you're able to see your bills. So you can see all your bill, your income, your bills, subscriptions, debt. So you see here that these items are highlighted based on what category they were in. Once you pay them, you will see that bill paid with a check mark. You can uncheck. You also have the option to print. So if you wanted to print this, you would just have to highlight here, select up until the end of that month. You can go to File, Print. And you're gonna just have to play around with these settings a little bit. So we would choose selected cells, and you may have to adjust these. So this is fit to page. It seems like fit to page works, so you could just fit to page and go ahead and print it out. Print. If you click next, it will show you the option to print. This did pop up, and it's just because we are highlighting areas that could impact the logic within the spreadsheet. So it's just giving you a warning. You could just press the X in this case because we're not making any changes. It was just highlighting some cells. And basically you would come in here and add the year and then select the month. So we were just looking at June, you could change it to July. And again, items will appear based on what's entered. And then here you can see that this is highlighted blue, and that's because that's today's date. So, and you can print the same way. So let's go ahead and move on to the next tab, which is our annual totals. And here, this is just giving you a bird's eye view of all of your expenses in one. So just more in a data-driven, just all numbers, where the dashboard, it gives you more visuals of, where does your money go and savings, and just kind of giving you more visual aspect here, where the annual totals is giving you mostly it's all data driven, and you're able to see here on the right hand side the difference between what you've budgeted and what your real expense were. And as you come down low, you will see where your money went, where most of your money went. And this goes in order of most to least. So again, no action has to be taken on these three. The clarity dashboard, the calendar, and the annual totals, they're automatically populated. This is more for your visual. So let's go ahead and jump into the January tab. So all the tabs will look like this for the month. So this is the same setup for each month, January through December. You would go ahead and start by adding your paychecks here, and also selecting the bank that you would want to that you're depositing the money into. And then you're gonna enter all your data in these white cells, basically, with the exception of this, you do not have to enter any data, but the white cells, you're going to enter data, and then these highlighted gray cells, again, these are automatically populated and pulled. The subcategories are pulled from the setup tab, and then these numbers are automatically calculated based on queries that are entered. So you would go ahead and add your budget, and then you would just double click. You can just double click on the cell. So if let's see, see vacation, we don't have anything, so you just enter the number here that you would like to put towards your vacation fund each month. And then also you could see here on the left-hand side, red and green, right? So in this case, we budgeted for $600 and we spent $872. So we went over $272. And then here we budgeted for $400 and we paid $335, so we're in the negative. And here we're in the positive, so we went over $759 because we only budgeted for $800. So depending on what your budget versus your real is, you will have those indicators to show whether you are over or under. And that's for all of these subcategories. So let's scroll down a bit, and that's when we'll get to the transaction tabs. This is where you will actually enter your transactions for the month. It's totally up to you how much data you want to enter. You also have the option of copying and pasting from your bank or your credit card provider, whatever you use, you can just copy and paste most of the data depending on the format. But it's really for you to get a glance of your spending habits. I do recommend that when you are starting your financial journey or your budgeting journey, I suggest that you do at least a 3-month look back so that you can see where your money's going and if you can reallocate and things of that nature. It just helps you to get a better snapshot. But the same as above, you can just double click on the cell. You would select the date. You would enter in information here. And then you can, since we did the $20, you can search here for 2020 vacation. That's going to your savings. You could just select the account that it's coming out of. And if you need to add any notes, you can also add those here on the side. To the left of this transaction tracker, you could see that you have a high level of where your money's going and then when you're spending your money. This is just to kind of give you some insight on if you're spending your money a lot during, say, maybe a weekend or say the first of the month, right? When things are due or whatever the pattern is, you could see that. And then where does my money go is also there to do the same thing, but it's bucketing them into those categories. So you could see the percentage of the money and where most of your money is going, just broken down by percentage. So that is how all of the monthly tabs look. Also note here at the top, you could see that left to spend, left to budget, total expense, and total income. The left to spend is for your real. So your real amount here, that is what that is calculated. The left to budget is what you expected or what you thought was going to come. So these are the difference between those two. And then you have your total expenses and total income here. So that is it for this tab. If you happen to need more room to enter your expenses, etc., there is on the left-hand side a plus sign. It's okay to press OK, and it will expand these rows for you so that you can have more space to enter your expenses. We'll go ahead and close that. So let's go ahead and jump over to the Joy Funds. And your Joy Funds are your savings. So in this case, you would be able to select from, and this is pulling from the setup as well. So you can select what you're saving towards. If this is the investments, you say your goal is to invest, say maybe $50,000, right? And you want to do $100 a month, and you started at 0. So what this will do is calculate how long it would take you. So because we're only doing $100, it's going to take us 500 months. And then it gives us an estimated date here, but you can play around with these numbers, of course. And then once you do contribute, once you make these contributions, you do have to enter them here. So say July investments, we actually added $500. You can see that it gives you a snapshot of how much you've added and your percentage. And also your date will also update. So that will give you as you progress, it'll give you that high level shot. And down here, this gives you a visual of where you are and the percentage of where you're getting there. So it translates this data in a more visual snapshot so that you can get the overview as well. And then these at the top are just showing how much overall you're trying to save, how much you've saved already, how much is left to go towards your savings, the percentage of all of the things that you're trying to save, and the amount that your goal basically to contribute monthly towards these these goals that you have. So that is how you use that. Let's go ahead and move over to the debt reset. In the debt reset, what you want to do is go ahead and add the year. So if you were to add 2026, you're going to get a warning because we're not in 2026 yet. So we're not able to do any calculations just because it is outside of that range. But if we were to add 2025 here again, and then select the month of, say, March is our start month, as you can see, these populate again. Next, you would want to choose your strategy. So you have 3 options here. You have the debt snowball, which takes your lowest balance first. So if we're looking down here, the lowest balance is this freedom card, and it would start there, and we can see that here. And then if we chose the avalanche method, if we're looking down here, it would start with the Quicksilver card, and we can also see that here. So it takes the highest interest first for the snowball method. And the custom method is the order of this table. So if you wanted to maybe start with this card, but then jump to this card, you would just put them in the order that you would want to pay your debt off in, and it will appear in that order. Here, you can add any extra payments. So if you could pay an extra $200 if you would like, if you're able to, you can add an extra $200 towards your payment each month. And you'll see that these dates will also update so that you can see your payoff date is for each card. And then your overall payoff date is here as well. And then if you needed to add any additional amounts, so if you got extra money, so you would just add, say, $1,000. You can see here that all this updates and your payoff date updates as well. And then say you were not able to make that $200 monthly payment that you planned for, you would just put a negative sign, $200. And again, it will update to reflect that. So you're able to make those adjustments. You will have to fill out this table. So let's just go ahead and fill out the table. This is being pulled from the setup tab. Looks like we have all four here, but say we didn't have this Amex here, you would just choose from the drop down, put your initial balance and your percentage. You can get all this data from your statements. So we'll say that is the payment there. And we can see here that it was added to our debts. So that is how you would use that. And then we can jump over to the 50, 30, 20 dashboard. So the purpose of this dashboard is to help you allocate your money and kind of create a system that's pretty passive. So if you wanted to, say, get from, I don't know, maybe it's 60, 60, 30, 20. You could play around in this dashboard to see how you can get there. This data is being pulled from your monthly tabs, so you would have to come in and select the month so that you could see where you stood. Also, you will have to come in and add these. So say we said rent was a want, right? You would just have to come in and select these and it'll adjust the budget to show exactly where you currently stand. This is a high level. The my goals breakdown is to see where you want to stand. So if you wanted to change to say 60, 10, 30, then it's kind of giving you a snapshot of how much money you would have to have in each bucket to meet that goal. So you can play around with these numbers as you'd like, but one of the standards is a 50, 30, 20. That's the most common, I'll say. But that is how you use this dashboard. And yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the net worth tracker. In the net worth tracker, this is mostly manual. You would have to just come in and add your each month you would come in and add the amount that you um at the end of each month, the amount of your assets, your investments, if you have any properties, if you have any other assets, maybe a car, and then as well as your liabilities, short term, long term. So here you would come in, you would enter where you started. So you could say we started at $200, and here we started at $50. And then each month you're going to come in and just add these. This is a great way to kind of get a bird's eye view of where you currently stand. Having a negative net worth or is not necessarily a negative thing. It's a great way for you to get a overview so that you can plan better. You just come in and check, and it'll also let you see where you can improve so that you can grow your net worth to be where you want it to be. So this is just a high level, good way to kind of just check in on yourself to see if you're reaching your goals each month. So that is all for this tab. Let's go ahead and move over to the monthly reflections. So here this is really for you to check in with yourself monthly. So we've added some questions here just so that you can make sure that you are kind of keeping your relationship with money uh in a positive light. Finances in different seasons can be very difficult, or sometimes they're going really well. But it's a great way to just kind of check in on yourself to see like how you're feeling about your money and where you stand as far as your finances go, and then your financial mindset goes, and then you can go ahead and add how you're feeling at the time. So if things are just going well, you can just put calm and then, fill in these. It's just a way to journal to continue to maintain a positive relationship or transition to a more positive relationship if you feel that your relationship is um, not as positive as it could be. And then let's go ahead and jump over to the mindset growth tab. And this is again, it's another way of checking in on your money mindset. So allowing you to put in where you stand. So I don't deserve to feel financially secure is a limiting belief. And then we're saying we want to reframe that and say I am worthy of peace and stability. And then you can put where it was, and then just kind of choose a category that may align with that goal. And the growing through this, it's really just for you to kind of document a win. So here we could say I always mess up my progress. And it says progress is never linear. I'm still moving forward. And then this is forgiveness category. But here, the growing through this is I stuck to my budget for 2 weeks straight, even after missing a bill earlier this month. So it's the silver lining, even when things could be a little challenging or um, things may feel a little challenging. It's just a reminder. And then we'll just jump over to the last tab here. And this is your affirmations. So here we can just highlight some affirmations that we feel may align with us or that we need. So kind of back to the worth thing, my worth is not defined by my balance. I think that goes really well with the last one we just talked about in the mindset growth. And again, highlighting the month, the category, and then here, why does it resonate? So this helped me separate my identity from how much I saved this month. So even when you are in a really good financial situation, sometimes it still may feel like you're behind or it may seem like you're not in a good space, but you can check your confidence level here. So we give you options. So you can say that you have doubt, you're almost there, halfway there, confident. And this is associated with this affirmation. And then the last thing is the star. This star allows you to kind of revisit something that you think is important. So if I were to take this away, it would default to the small steps. And then if I were to add it here, then it would default to this one. So it's just a way for you to check back in on how you're feeling if you need to check back in. But yes, so that was the Clarity Bundle walkthrough. And it's really meant for to grow with you as you continue your journey. And you don't need to be perfect. Just keep showing up for yourself, one small step at a time. If you haven't grabbed your Clarity Toolkit yet, you can check out the link in the description. And yeah, thank you for spending the time with me today. And happy budgeting.